Today I'm gonna talk about just a simple starting out livestock for either a urban homestead or a rural homestead for you guys' choice, so stay tuned. Hello folks, welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host Jerry Hansen. I'm taking advantage of this beautiful winter day. It's 52 degrees outside and I decided to come out and spend some time out in my front yard. I'm doing some chores today and then my chickens have followed me out here, and it kind of inspired me to talk a little bit to you about choosing livestock to start out with for a homestead or even a backyard farm if you live urban. One creature you can add to your homestead, and that is a rabbit. Rabbits are pair rabbits, mainly a pair, because they procreate, they create other little bunnies which grow up into meals. Have you seen the price of a fully dressed rabbit in the meat market? It's like 32 bucks. That's a nice little cash crop if you're raising rabbits, but if you're raising meat for the table, rabbits are a quiet animal. They produce these little round pellets that are gold for your garden. These are excellent for fertilizing your flower beds, your vegetable gardens. And rabbits are edible, and they're excellent for feeding waste to also, like certain food products you don't want to feed them, like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. You don't want to feed them that type of vegetable. But you can also just go out and forage in a vacant lot, the grasses, twigs, branches, and throw them in their little cages, because in nature they're going to be foraging a variety of different plants, leaves, twigs, barks, things that they can find a variety of nutrients in. Alfalfa is not grown everywhere, but yet they sell rabbit pellets in the form of alfalfa. I don't get it. If rabbits in nature don't eat alfalfa, why are you feeding them an alfalfa diet? And primarily just alfalfa, when that's not what they do and that's not what they're programmed to do. I have a problem with that. Anyway, moving on. Chickens, especially hens, they don't crow. Some municipalities do not allow a rooster in your backyard or in city limits because of the noise ordinances. Some of your neighbors might not appreciate the crow of a rooster. I remember, back in the 60s, my aunt and uncle lived downtown in a nice little suburb, and they had chickens with a rooster. In fact, my aunt had a pet rooster. He would roost on top of her water heater for the warmth, and she had him trained to go do his bird droppings in the utility sink so she can just flush it right down the sink. I remember that bird. That was interesting how she trained that bird to do that. So she had a clean house. She had 8 kids. So anyway, chicken. The hens in urban areas, probably check your ordinance, would be passable because they don't crow. They're fairly quiet. They're a multi-purpose bird. They not only produce and provide you eggs, they also provide protein when it comes time to harvest your chickens. They also go around, if you let them free range in your fenced area, they can get rid of all the bugs and ticks and other critters that you don't want around, and keep your garden safe. And they also are good for turning up the garden after you harvest it and getting rid of all the pests. And then also, if you have them concentrated in a small area like where they roost, just collect their stool and use that as a fertilizer after it's been set for a while. You just let it set it in your garden, and it's wonderful fertilizer also for your plants. So chickens are really neat, all around simple breed to keep. I let my chickens free range. I virtually have zero food bill for my chickens for the most part. Sometimes I feed them, depends on the weather and the time of year. Winter months, absolutely, I feed them. But they're free range during the summer, and I have a big farm, so they're able to go out and get their gizzards all nice and full, or their crops nice and full, and they're happy. They're fat, they've got a little bit of weight to them, and we throw out kitchen scraps and they'll eat those too. So they're good waste producers and waste recyclers. Excellent. These particular hens I got, they're called Buff Orpington. I got this breed specifically for the size and their temperament. They're very incredibly docile, very friendly. They, wherever I am at, they're like little puppy dogs. They'll follow me around and just make sure there's no bugs around me, because they take care of them like they're doing right now. They're very social creatures and very entertaining. So are the ducks and the geese. I maybe a duck or two in your homestead garden if you're living in the urban area, because they're good for taking care of bugs and slugs in your garden. And then they're also good for having a duck dinner once on an occasion. They're fairly quiet, especially the female duck. The male duck is quiet. And there is a difference between a female duck quack and a male duck quack. I had an episode, I touched upon this before. The female is the one with that little real loud quack, 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 quack. And the male has a really deep, almost a whisper, quack, 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 quack. So I think it's too much testosterone is what's suppressing his quack. But anyway, and she's making herself known. But anyway, for urban areas, I think a male duck, which is called a drake, that might be best for your homestead rather than a female duck. Because like I said, noise ordinances. However, if you have the advantage of living outside of the city limits and you live in the county and you're not confined by any noise ordinance, you can have anything depending on what your own limitations you want to limit yourself with. So that's my personal recommendation for starting out on a new farm or a new little homestead, or even a little backyard farm, tiny farm. So there's some self-sustaining things you could do right now where you live that you can get into. I know people, I've seen where people who live in high-rise apartments, they just go with a rabbit or raise a couple of rabbits in a closet or so, and they can get away with that because they're quiet and they're like a cat or a dog. You can actually train them to, potty train them to go a potty in a specific place. But chickens, in a high-rise apartment, unless you can get away with calling it a service animal. Interesting thought. Anyway, I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. This is Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I want to thank you guys for tagging along and sharing this little adventure and allowing me to share my opinion with you on good starts for a homestead livestock. Please stay tuned to more videos. You can do that by subscribing, giving me a thumbs up, leaving a comment. Also, clicking that bell icon does alert you to new videos as I upload them. And also, please, please, please click that share button and share our videos on your social media platforms. And hey, if you don't have a homestead yet, or a farm or land to be able to start your dream on, check out these links below. I got some video links. I went through the trouble of creating some videos. I don't charge you a cent for looking at these videos. I'm not charging you a cent for going through and gleaning the information that I was able to glean and put in action and do it myself. because what you see behind me, I was able to do it for real cheap, because I was I was really shy on money. I call it poor. Some other people have other definitions of poor, but in our society, yeah, we were poor. We were able to get this land, this house, get all the outbuildings built and put into place, and I was able to do it from payday to payday, and you can too. You just got to be brave enough and try. So check out those videos down in the links below, and they will answer your questions. Hopefully answer all your questions I've laid out, because in some videos there was some statements that I made that raised questions, so I had to go back and create another video to answer those questions. We'll see you guys in the next video. Have fun with those videos down below. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.